Welcome back to the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. It's Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet. It's coming soon to Ohio, and it's one of our annual traditions to sit down with the great Dane Brugler of The Athletic, their draft expert, the author of The Beast, the authority on pre-draft. I think it's the number one guide in the world. It's my draft Bible. I love it so much. And Dane, we're going to keep it. We're going to do some little low. We're going to do some quiet talking today because I know your voice is. Get it. Everybody wants to hear what you have to say.
It's been a week. But we haven't started with the on-field drills yet, so we still got a long way to go. But this is always such a productive week to fill in the gaps, right? You know, a lot of the work has been done, the film has been watched, but here at the combine is where fill in some of those gaps where maybe you're missing something with the person, get those through the interviews, or maybe the workouts kind of reveal something. So the combine remains a very critical piece of this process.
All right. You are very good at obviously what you do, but not only that, what makes it even more fun on Browns Daily is you kind of see through a similar lens to the Cleveland Browns. You had Greg Newsome going to the Browns 2 years ago, pretty much the whole process. So this year, we don't have that first-round pick. We got Deshaun Watson, so our draft starts at number 42. Last year, the Browns went out of the second round, but still got, I think, a very productive player in M.J. Emerson when they traded back with their first pick. But let's focus on 42 here. Let's talk wide receivers first. Okay. I'm guessing it might end up on the edge on the defensive side, defensive line. But let's look at receivers. We know there's a speed need for this football team. Let's talk 42, and then if it's maybe not, if it's a later day 2, early day 3 guy that has some of maybe the traits Anthony Schwartz had, but maybe perhaps is a little better tracking the ball down the field. But let's start at 42. Who would be kind of a dream scenario for you for the Browns there?
One of my favorite players in this draft is Tyler Scott.
Okay, this guy is like blowing up, I feel like, Tyler Scott.
And I have a tweet back in January that said, just wait till more eyes get on Tyler Scott. He's going to – because he's fun. I mean, it's speed. You watch his film, and I don't know how you don't get Tyler Lockett vibes. That's what he looks like. He's a little smaller, so you're sacrificing the size, but he's a 3-level threat. The speed is outstanding. Big-time track guy. He's going to test outstanding here. Wide receivers are Saturday, I believe. So don't miss his workout Saturday. It'll be one of the better 40 times here. Former, he's a local kid, Akron, Norton High School. He was a running back. They kind of ran an option offense there. So transitioning to wide receiver at Cincinnati, you would never be able to guess that. Yeah, he's a third-year junior, just pretty new to the position with the way he plays. Catches the ball pretty cleanly. I mean, he'll have some drops, but if the ball's above his head, he'll go get it. But it's really the speed aspect. That's what he brings, and that's what it's going to be. That's his his weapon. If he's a superhero, that's what he does. So I really believe. I feel like every year someone gets compared to Tyler Lockett. Tyler Scott, I think, really has that type of ability.
How would you compare or contrast him with Hyatt from Tennessee?
I think Hyatt is Hyatt's above average in 2 areas: speed, ball skills. Both those he's above average. He can go down the field, win deep, and he's very good tracking and finishing. Scott, I think he's not as big, but I think he gives you a little bit more as an underneath threat. He can be a catch and go. You can use him on crossers, digs. Where Hyatt's, I think, a little more polished vertically. Scott has that in his bag, but I also think he's a little more well-rounded if you want someone short, intermediate, and deep.
Do you feel like either of them realistically could be there at 42?
Scott's interesting because for the longest time I feel like I'm shouting into an echo chamber and this guy's good, and I feel like it's going to catch up. So we'll see where we are on draft day. I know on my top 100 he was right around 42. Okay. So, I think right around that, because again, he is a smaller guy. You're sacrificing size, and that's not every team's going to be looking for that size of a receiver. But I think if you're looking for ability and a guy who's ascending, Tyler Scott's the guy.
All right, I like that. Let's go maybe round 3, round 4. And so now you're sacrificing overall polish, obviously, but somebody can still have a pretty elite trait at that spot and be a space creator, take a top off of defense. Anybody kind of in that range for you?
Trey Palmer, the Nebraska receiver. I think he's right in that range, 3rd round, 4th round. A former LSU player. He was a big-time track guy in high school. Won 200 meters all 4 years in high school. So he has the speed. We should see it here this week. Transfers to Nebraska for a senior year. and he was one of the best receivers in the Big Ten this year, really because of that speed. He had the most catches of at least 40 yards after Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt led the nation, but after Hyatt, Palmer was right there. And so he has that ability to stretch out the field. And just the threat of his speed affects the defense.
Right. That's
so
right, yeah.
third round, fourth round, I think he's going to be somewhere in that range as long as he tests how we expect he's going to test.
All right, let's go to the defensive line because obviously that's a big area of need. You got to find that starter opposite Miles. We need some defensive tackles as well. Really, 3 starting spots are kind of unaccounted for. Perrion showed, I thought, great flashes last year.
Right.
But we need to see that more consistent and, make sure that we're all rowing in the same direction there. Edge, everybody says deep, 42, probably a chance to get a pretty darn good player, right?
It'll be interesting who falls that far, because there's such a group of these guys in that late 1, early 2 range. How many get pushed, into that 40 to 50 range? I really like B.J. Ojulari from LSU. We saw his brother Aziz 2 years ago get pushed a little bit. He fell to the Giants in the second round. I think that turned out to be great value. Could the same thing happen with B.J. Ojulari, who maybe not the biggest with what some teams look for, but he knows how to rush. And you want a guy with bend, he has that. So I think Ojulari would be a natural fit. The Kansas State rusher, Felix, hard name or last name's hard to say, but he's another player who it just knows how to rush. He understands how to set up blockers throughout the course of a game. First quarter through fourth quarter, very cerebral. He understands the dance. He knows what he's doing out there. So I think he could be in that mix as well. It's a group where you might be surprised who's still available for you, even though it's a premium position. And those guys are going to go. We're going to see, obviously Willie Anderson's going to go early. Sure. Lucas Van Ness is going to go very early especially after he works out here. Nolan Smith is really interesting coming off the injury. Where does he fall in all this? He's another really good player. So edge position is, I think, you feel good about who might be there for you at 42.
Don't you have like 8 in the top 50,
yeah,
something like that?
Right. There's going to be a lot of names that you're kind of picking through and saying, okay, well, if he's there, if he makes it, this is someone we need to think seriously about taking.
Now, I would be personally surprised, and I wouldn't rule it out, but if the Browns took a defensive tackle at 42, just because they would want somebody who could rush the passer with that premium of an asset, and if they can rush the passer from the inside, they're not going to be there at 42. So are there some guys, early day 3, which has kind of been the MO, or late day 2, round 3 with Elliott, 4 Togiai, 4 Perrion, but I'm talking size. Yeah. We need to get bigger in the interior, even if it's a 2-down player, somebody who can go in there and eat up 2 guys and let the lighter linebackers, Jeremiah Usu-Cormo, run free. Is there anybody that fits kind of that bill in this draft?
Yeah, and I'm interested to see where Keanu Benton ends up, the Wisconsin nose tackle. Could he go second round? I think it's possible, but I think it's more likely maybe he goes third round. And if he's there for the Browns in the third round, I love that fit because I do think he brings some pass rush potential in that Nebraska defense, 3-man front. He's playing the nose.
He wasn't asked to.
Right, exactly. But, you at the Senior Bowl one-on-ones, you saw some of that pass rush potential. And he's a guy that has a wrestling in his background. And he understands leverage. He understands quickness to beat gaps. So I think Keanu Benton's one of those guys that's got untapped potential. It might not go in the top, 60 picks, but if he were to fall in that third round, I think the Browns would be very interested.
Okay, I like that one. That's a union I've heard a little bit of scuttlebutt about as you make the rounds here in the great Indianapolis. So
the interesting thing, too, in the second round, if Mozzie Smith makes it to them, how tempted will they be to take a Mozzie Smith who had a grand total of, I think, a half sack his entire career at Michigan? But the value he gives you as a true nose who can take on doubles and just really free up the rest of the defense, I 100% agree with you about, they want more of a player that's going to impact the backfield. But the value there of a really good nose tackle like Mozzie Smith, that'll be interesting if he makes it to 42.
How would you compare him to, I'm trying to think of the name, Travis Jones maybe out of UConn last year?
Ravens got him in the third round.
Yeah, but at the time there was a lot of talk that he might be
he
had first, second.
He had a great Senior Bowl, and then we started talking, these guys don't fall too far, and the Ravens ended up getting great value.
So that's what we would like in the third round there.
Right. I think that's, if you're the Browns, that's what you're hoping for this year.
Any under the radar, maybe we'll call it a center field free safety out there?
A guy that I'm really interested in, especially for this team, Jatavius Martin for Illinois. who did everything for the Illinois secondary. Devin Witherspoon's a really good player. He's probably going to be a first-round pick for Illinois. Sidney Brown, the other safety, he gets talked about. He'll be somewhere in the top 5 rounds. But Jartavius Martin really came on this year. Quan Martin, goes by Quan as his first name. You want him playing a nickel, he can do that. You want to play more of a post, he can do that. You want to play more like that center field range, he has the range to do it. So we saw Kirby Joseph from Illinois, that Illinois secondary last year, kind of come on and had a pretty good rookie year for the Lions. I don't know that Quan Martin's quite, I'm expecting quite that type of impact from him, but I think he can come in and play meaningful snaps as a rookie, especially in that nickel role, but also someone that can compete for safety snaps.
All right. He's the best, Dane Brugler. I mean, a literal walking human encyclopedia. It's unbelievable. Every year, you blow me away. It's awesome. Thanks for your time. Rest that voice up, and looking forward to all your coverage and talking with you more, obviously, we get closer to this draft.
Can't wait, man. Thanks.